What's going on, everybody? This is your tour guide around the SWAC C Wells coming at you with another video today. Y'all make sure y'all lock in with us. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and become a part of the SWAC Talk family by becoming a member. 99 cents gets you a membership to the YouTube channel. We have special perks coming at you. We're going to be dropping special members only videos and shorts. I'm going to have rants and reactions to different things that I want to put there. So if you want to get everything, man, become a member of the Swag Talk crew for 99 cents and get down with the get down, man. And so we're going to still be bringing y'all a lot of stuff, swag smoke and everything like that, and all our normal videos. But we also bring y'all that membership tier. So get down with that. Check out the Facebook and Instagram, both Swag Talk, Twitter Swag Talk 76. And now let's get on with the show, man. Let's do it.
God. Wednesday, Sundays, catch the ride. Football hoops, we breaking wide. Stats and facts, truth on high. SWAT talk where the convo's real. From Texas to Florida, we seal the deal. Just pull up, the vibes are real. Chopping it up, we spin the wheel. Hit the corner of the field, we strategize. Breaking the game down, no disguise. Play by play, we analyze. I wear sharp, we magnify. SWAT talk where the convo's real. From Texas to Florida, we seal the deal. Just pull up, the vibes are real. Chopping it up, we spin the wheel. Wednesdays, heat, Sundays, ignite. We talking legends shining bright. Back and forth, day or night. This the plug, we bring the light. SWAT talk where the convo's real. From Texas to Florida, we seal the deal. Cats pull up, the vibes are real. Chopping it up, we spin the wheel. Wednesdays, heat, Sundays, ignite. We talking legends shining bright. Back and forth, day or night. This the plug, we bring the light. SWAT talk where the convo's real. From Texas to Florida, we seal the deal. Cats pull up, the vibes are real. Chopping it up, we spin the wheel.
What's up, y'all, man? How y'all doing? Of course, I am your tour guide around the SWAC C Wells coming at you. And today is going to be another episode of my You Heard Me series where I kind of just chop it up about things that's going on in the SWAC universe, the HBC universe, however you want to put it. Nothing really major, man. Very, very light, very, lighthearted. And so today, my focus is on the HBCU tier list that dropped, I think, sometime last week. I'm not really going to do a show about the list itself. I mean, the list itself was all over the place. They had people, teams, in spots that they shouldn't have been. I think most people agree where some teams are that shouldn't be. But I wanted to drop this video not necessarily as a response, but just my thoughts on an angle that was taken by my boy Lionel over at PV versus Everybody. And this is a shout out to him, man, because he got a talent that a lot of people don't have. He can say things and people gonna respond. And so I always look at what he do as probably 75% 75% genuine and like 25% troll, because I don't think he trolls on purpose, but he just has a way of getting people in arms. Maybe he do know what he's doing, but I looked at his show the other day, and he had some very well thought out statements and thoughts about where certain teams were on the list and who should be where and who shouldn't be where. And I agree with a lot of what he said, but I just wanted to give my side of it because I'm a neutral observer. And so, not having a dog in the fight, I felt like I wanted to put my 2 cents in there. So, and this is going to be tough for me because y'all know my allegiance Um, and one of the teams in this argument or discussion is a huge rival of mine, but it's all love, and I can easily put that on the side and be objective, because when it comes time to keeping it 100, you got to keep it 100. And so I want to talk about, as you can see from the thumbnail and the title, I want to talk about this Prairie View Jackson State argument. Prairie View was placed on tier 2 in the in this HBCU tier list, and Jackson State was placed on the blue blood tier. Now, one side feels like Jackson State should not be a blue blood, and PV should not be in tier 2. They both should be on tier 1. And so I'm gonna kind of look at that and give my thoughts. Now, first and foremost, I think Prairie View as a program historically does not get the recognition that it deserves. That is a program that has some very, very, very dominant years back in the day. I don't think their history gets talked about. I don't think some of the things that they were innovative in gets talked about. From me or anybody else, I don't think we give them their flowers for the groundwork that they laid in Black college football. I think a lot of what PV has is shadowed and shaded by that long losing streak that they had, which there was reasons for it, but it exists, so you can't wipe it away. And I think that killed a lot of the mystique and aura around that program. Now they're trying to get it back, and I think they've done a good job of kind of righting the ship in recent years to kind of at least get themselves back headed in the right track. But like I said, if you want to put them on tier 1, which to me, if you're gonna have Bama State on tier 1, then PV definitely should be on tier 1. I think those two programs are kind of not even similar. So if you're gonna have them there, then PV should be there. But I'm gonna base my argument around the statement that Jackson State should not be a blue blood, and I feel like they should be, and I'm gonna say why. But first off, I want to talk about the Panthers. So when you look at PV, they do have the 6 national championships, which if you go on Twitter, you're gonna see all the PV people throwing out that they got 6, and they do. You can't take that away from them. I believe the basis of this argument on either side comes down to one word, and that word is context. You have to have context in this argument. Like I said, from the 30s to the 60s, Prairie View was it. They were top dog. They did this and they did that, and so they won 11 SWAC championships, 10 of them from 1964 on back. They have the one championship in 09, which you cannot take that. That was a really good team. That team also won a Black national championship. They won 6 national titles, 1 in 53, 1 in 54, 1 in 58, 63, 64, and then 09. So if you're looking at it like that, what they did in the past is huge. But I feel like you have to also have recent success to some degree. And I don't think they have that. So tier 1 is fine. Like I said, I don't think they arguing that they should be above tier 1. Although if they had a better run, I could see them being bumped up even higher. But tier 1 is honestly fine for them, and I think that's respectful to what they've done, and I think that's a great spot for them. But when you look at the other side of things, Jackson State should not be tier 1 because yes, they have 4 national championships, but this program is almost the model of consistency. When you look at over the years, they have 19 SWAC championships. Of course, you can't get to a national championship without a conference championship. And for various reasons, they did not get those Black national championships, including '95 when they won the SWAC. They won the SWAC. Southern won the Heritage Bowl. Southern won the Black national championship, even though they beat Southern that year. So, if you want to if and, then 95 is a year that they could have won a Black national championship. Obviously, when you run through that run that they had in the 80s, they probably could have won some then too, but they didn't. So I'm not gonna hypothetical this thing. But This is a program that, if you look at through the decades, they've only had one decade where they had a record, a total losing record. And that was in the 1930s. They won 23% of their games, 7, 25, and 7. In the 40s, they won 54% of their games. In the 50s, they won 58% of their games. In the 60s, they won 60% of their games. In the 70s, 70%. 80s, 71%. 76, the 90s, they won 67% of their games. Then they hit a lull in the 2000s and won 47% of their games, finished 6 games under 500. 2010s, which is a time toward the late portion of that decade where a lot of people look at Jackson State as being totally down. They still won 48% of their games, and they were only 3 games under 500 in their decade. And then, of course, the 2020s, they've won 79% of their games so far. That's consistency. And like I said, they won a championship every decade except for the 2010s. They won in the 60s. They won in the 70s. They won in the 80s multiple times. They won basically 4 straight SWAC championships, 80, 85, 86, 87, and 88. Probably should have won in 89 if they don't get upset by Southern. They won in 90. They won in 95, 96. They won in 2007. Then they won in 21, 22, and 24. So they won championships in every decade, like I say, but one. When you look at from the 60s on. And to me, that is as consistent as you can get. And if that is not a mark of being a top tier program, I don't know what is. Yes, they don't have as many national championships, but they have more SWAC championships, and we're in line for more SWAC championships. They has 10 SWAC division titles, which you can downplay division titles because, you know, if you don't win the championship game, then it don't really mean nothing. But to get to the championship game, you have to win your division. So they have 10 of those: 99, 2007, 2008, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 21, 22, and 24. Like I said, I don't see any measure of anything. And if you put them up against the teams that are on that tier, on that blue blood tier, they stack up with all of them. Probably the only place that they come up short on that tier is national championships. But everything else, they stack up just fine with those teams that are on that tier. Now, like I said, all of this, you know, yes, there's some, you know, there's some objective numbers in there, but a lot of this is subjective because it comes down to your opinion. But like I said, I feel like they belong on that blue blood tier because they've been consistent since the 60s. You know, and like I said, when you have that, that trumps a lot of things, man. You know, that outweighs, you know, to a degree, that outweighs championships because they've won games. They've done everything that you can do. You know, they've had undefeated conference seasons. They've been dominant. They've been, you know, long winning streaks. I think I saw somewhere they only had 7 losing streaks of 4 games or more in the history of the program. That's consistency, man, and that alone puts you on that tier. So while I agree that Prairie View is underrated and undervalued on that tier list, I think to say Jackson State don't belong on that blue blood list is not accurate. And of course, that's just one dude's opinion. You know, you can look at it another way. You can agree or disagree with your boy. It's all love, but I don't see any other way to look at it, man. That's just is what it is. So I'm not really gonna go too much deeper into this because it's not really anything that I need to go expound too much deeper on, because we need to start really getting back to moving toward the 2025 season. Of course, I got my Groundland preview dropping at some point in the upcoming week, so y'all keep it locked for that. You know, we got week 0 coming up in a couple weeks, And so it's time to really put a lot of this behind us and start really focusing forward on 2025. So with that being said, man, I'm your tour guide around the SWAC. See well signing out. And I'm gonna hit y'all with one of those you heard, miss, and I'm gonna catch y'all on the rebound. Peace.